Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of Ahsoka, Season 1, Episode 5, Part 5, Shadow Warrior. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library. It's over 1,000 videos now, and it's going to pick something out. It'll spin the wheel and pick something out and pop it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'll be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take the schedule I have up there. It changes out every week. Also have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. And if you take a look underneath the schedule, it's also got future stuff like what's coming up. I don't have everything on there, but I got some stuff on there that you may like. Who knows? And you might want to know when it's coming out. So let's get started, shall we? Oh, if I can reach this. There we go. Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it again, and then come on back, and this will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. All right, give you enough time. Hit the pause button, whatever you need to do. Okay, that's enough. All righty. So, yeah, like I said, this was, this is Ahsoka's trial, her Jedi trials, if you will. I was saying this last episode, last review, that she's in the world between worlds, and this is her Jedi trials, if you will. And Anakin, a younger Anakin, I guess you could say, the Clone Wars Anakin, is there, and he basically tells her, you need to fight or you're going to die, is what you're going to do. That's pretty much what's going to happen here. And she doesn't want to fight him, of course. And he whips out the lightsaber, and it's the blue lightsaber, by the way. It's the Luke Skywalker sky blue lightsaber. And, which of course was Anakin's before Obi-Wan stole it from him after cutting off his legs and his arm. So yeah, they're fighting, and she's like, I really don't want to fight you, kind of thing. And he's like, too bad. Oh, and by the way, and he just kind of cuts the floor out from underneath her, and they drop into her first mission with Anakin, which was on Ryloth, her home planet, if you will. And this is when they're fighting the Separatists. And now she has become a teenager again. She has become the young version of herself, and played by Ariana Greenblatt. So we now have teenage Ahsoka with older Ahsoka's mind in there as she's talking about this stuff. And you really don't get a sense of this in the Clone Wars, in the animated Clone Wars, that the Jedi used fucking children for soldiers. They really did. They pushed children. They had child soldiers, which is a war crime in and of itself. And you really kind of don't get that in the Clone Wars animated series until you see this, where you see a teenager, because Ariana Greenblatt is 15 years old, somewhere around there. She's a teenager, and when you finally see it, you're like, holy shit, that's right. She was a child when they put her into war. And Anakin's basically telling her, he's like, I taught you to survive. That's what I did. That's what, he goes, when I was becoming learning as a Padawan, it was a time of peace. Jedi were peacekeepers. And he says, but for you, I was teaching you how to survive. And that's all I was teaching you, was how to survive this war. Raymond says, what in the hell was the lesson? I'll get to that in a minute here, Raymond. So he's like saying, all I was teaching you was to survive, how to survive. That's not good enough. And that's what he's trying to get at. And then we actually flash to the Siege of Mandalore, which he wasn't there at. This is when he was actually turning to the dark side. They had already separated out. By the way, if you haven't seen the Siege of Mandalore, go and fucking watch the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars. the best Star Wars stuff you will see in a, it's awesome stuff. And that is where you have the Siege of Mandalore happening. And we get to see a live action Rex for the first time as well, which is in his costume. Really good stuff. Like all these nice little Easter eggs in there. And we also get to see commandos here. Mandalorian Super Commando is what that's called. Mandalorian Super Commando. And she's fighting off the Death Watch, is what she's doing. And yeah, well, we haven't seen that in live action either. So we see this, and Anakin comes up and he's like, I don't remember this. And she goes, you weren't here for this. This is the Siege of Mandalore. Um, and they end up going back to the 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 bridge, of course, in the world between worlds, and he is kind of fluctuating back and forth between being Anakin and being Darth Vader. Because, by the way, he is now one of, it's always been speculated this is what was going to happen, is the Mortis gods, which was the father who is the neutral between the light and the dark. There was the daughter who was the light side of the force, and the son who was the dark side of the force. They're all dead. The ones is what they were called. Anakin now at this point in time has become the father. He is now the neutral, the dark and the light side of the force. He has balanced out the force. This is what the prophecy was all supposed to be about, was him balancing out the force again by taking over that position once he died. The lesson here, when he's fighting her and he's forcing her to fight him, and you see Darth Vader's red saber and all that stuff, and she takes it from him. And at one point, she's got it up against his throat, and you see her eyes, and it's a blink and you miss it kind of thing. It's not actually the glare from the lightsaber; it's actually her eyes turning Sith for just a moment, and then she stops, catches herself, turns off the lightsaber, and says, "I'm not going to kill you." You know, and that whole thing was the whole lesson was, yes, he taught her how to survive, but he never taught her how to live. And that's what this whole thing was about, was her finally becoming, coming into her own and learning how to live. And also, you know, what do you do when you've had nothing but war be your life all that time? I mean, she went from the Clone Wars to the, becoming Fulcrum, starting the Rebel Alliance, fighting the Empire, and finally defeating the Empire. And basically, she's been going from war to war to war to war and not having a life, not living her life. And that's no way to live. Surviving is one thing, but living a life is another. And that's what the whole final thing was, he was just telling her, yeah, you need to live is what you need to do. Not just survive, but also live. And that's what the whole lesson was. So uh, that's what he was getting at there, Raymond. Yes, exactly. She had basically the same duel as Luke in Return of the Jedi. Again, Dave Filoni has studied at the feet of George Lucas. He was under George Lucas for a decade, I believe, 15 years, something like that. So, um, yeah, he of course learned from him. He loves the original trilogy, and yeah, that's what he was mirroring. He was mirroring Luke's Dagobah scene where he actually went through the Jedi trials in Dagobah by going into the cave. That's what this was. And then when she comes out of this, um, and she ends up in the water. And by the way, so the other part of this whole episode is Jason Sandula, who is, we finally get mention of uh, Kanan, his father, Kanan Jarrus, who was a Jedi, and that Jason is force sensitive now too, and he can actually hear her within the world within worlds. And he actually tells his mom, he's like, "Listen, do you hear the lightsabers?" Um, so he is the son of Kanan Jarrus, Raymond from Rebels. If you go back and watch Rebels, which is a great series also in and of itself, um, I would almost say Rebels is a better series than Clone Wars. Although the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars is probably the best Star Wars you will ever see. So if you haven't watched, and it's only 5 seasons of Rebels, I'm going to tell you right now, Ezra's going to piss you off in the first season, and that's pretty much how these how these Star Wars animated series go. The main character pisses you off in the first season, maybe 2 seasons, and then you kind of fall in love with them. Uh, Oh, so who's the son supposed to be? The Mortis son was actually he was supposed to be the dark side of the Force. So who is the Mortis now? That's a good question. That's a great question. I don't think there is a Mortis son, and I don't think there's a Mortis daughter either. I know that they said that Ahsoka was supposed to be since she was revived, but it seems like Filoni's kind of retconning some things here and there because in the Rebel series, at the very end of the animated series, you see the scene that we saw at the end of episode 2 of Ahsoka here, where Ahsoka comes to Sabine and says, "Are you ready to go and find Ezra?" And she's in white in the animated series. In the Ahsoka series, she's in gray. So she hasn't gone through the trials as of yet there. So he's kind of retconning things a little bit here and there. Not much, but at the end of all this, when Ahsoka comes back and she's in the waters of Cetos, and she gets rescued, we see her dressed in white, not in gray anymore. And again, this is borrowing a bit from Lord of the Rings, where Gandalf the Gray and Gandalf the White. We have everyone is talking about this online: Ahsoka the Gray and Ahsoka the White. So she has now become Ahsoka the White at this point. Yes, she is Gandalf Ahsoka. Exactly, Pippin. So that's what this is all about. This is her going through her own Jedi trials. Uh, and yeah, it's actually a really good thing. And this is not without consequences, of course, too. The New Republic, being the fuckwads that they are, of course, want to they want to try Hera Syndulla, who is there, who found the fucking gate, the galaxy gate. No one believes her. Uh, there's probably going to be a threat against the New Republic. No one believes her, and yet they want to try her and take away her being a general. We also get mention of Leia. Leia, of course, is trying to deflect some of this from Hera as well, and that's not working too well. Because Hera's going to have to go back to Coruscant and face charges, is what's going to happen here. She's going to face her own trial. But with the map orb destroyed, they have no way of finding out where Sabine has gone to, and of course, Balin and the rest of the evil group, I guess you could say. And Ahsoka comes up with an idea. Why not ask the Purgle? Ask the Purgle where they've gone to. How do they get to the other galaxy? And so she stands out on the wing of her Jedi fighter there, and reaches out to the Purgle, the big, 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 big Purgle, the one that's about the size of a Star Destroyer. And he opens up his mouth and says, "Hey, come on in, come for a ride." And that's what they do. The Purgle, we see them take off into hyperspace, obviously going to that galaxy, and that's where we leave off on this episode. Raymond says, "I like how Rosario changed her demeanor to reflect the Clone Wars." Yes, that was the whole thing. Is she's released that whole tension of when Balin got under her skin by saying that all her legacy was war and death. He wasn't lying about that. He was just basically mirroring what. So he was using a Jedi trick, if you will, where he was entering her mind. Same thing like he did with Sabine. That's how when you see him stop for a second and he closes his eyes when confronting Sabine, he's reading her mind, and that's how he finds out about Ezra and how he pulls that from her and uses it against her. It's the same thing what he did with Ahsoka here, where he pulls that um that angst that Ahsoka has. She does not want to become her master, and she feels that because of what he taught her, that she's going down that road as well. That was the other thing too, was that that was mentioned in this episode, that Anakin says, it's not just what I taught you, it's what everyone else has taught me that came before me, that, I've taught you that as well. So he goes, it's not just the bad, it's also the good. It's everything in there. And you got to take it for what it is, at that point, and be yourself. And that's kind of, again, part of this whole lesson, and what they were getting out of this, what she was supposed to get out of the Jedi trials, you know. So, yeah. And yes, she became happy Ahsoka. She became lighthearted Ahsoka, I guess you could say, by finally releasing that angst, that anxiety, um, and the fear of becoming her master, like her master. So, yeah, good episode all the way around. I know we have 4 episodes left, I believe is what we've got here. And I mean, man, it keeps getting better. And also Dave Tennant as Hu Yang, the the heart and soul of all of this too, which was just really, really good. Um, yeah, it's really something special. Quite on, I take that back. There's 8 episodes, so we only have 4 episodes left. I thought there was going to be 9 episodes, but I take that back. There are only 8 episodes. So yeah, we have. I don't want to take that back. We have 3 episodes. We have 6, 7, and 8. That's it. That's all we've got left. 3 more episodes. I thought we had 9, but yeah, don't know when Thrawn is going to be brought into all of this. Probably next episode is what I'm guessing. I mean, you would have to think that would Thrawn and Ezra coming in next episode so they can wrap things up in the last 2 episodes. Possibly, but we'll see how that plays out. So good episode. Great stuff here. And again, I can't strongly recommend enough. Watch Rebels. This is Rebels season 5 is really what this is. Ahsoka is really Rebels season 5, but it also plays into Clone Wars as well. I would say watch the last 3 seasons of Clone Wars, 4 seasons of Clone Wars. Yeah, watch the last 4 seasons of Clone Wars. And because that was the other thing too. Hayden Christensen ended up playing the Clone Wars Anakin just as well as the Clone Wars Anakin, and in this episode, where he was a little quippy, uh, a little snarky too, in all of this, but that was the better Anakin than the movie version of Anakin. The movie version of Anakin was stiff, and that was because of George Lucas. I hate to say this, it's because of his direction. His direction is not great. It's known that it's not great. Ask Natalie Portman. She was typecast for a little while, and she thought she was never going to get another job after it. So I agree, Pippin. He did a great job. And yeah, I mean, as he said, he goes, if you wait long enough, everyone comes back around again on all of this. So good stuff all the way around. So with that said, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow I'm off. Friday I'm off. Saturday I'm going to actually do another Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, I think I talked about this before. I don't think I did it as of yet. I need to go back and take a look. I don't think I did, but I'm going to actually cover and Is It Worth My Time on Saturday? The Venture Brothers movie. Radiant is the blood of the baboon heart. I have it on 4K DVD, and I've watched it. It's also on Max right now too. It's on Adult Swim, so it's out there for you to watch if you want to watch it. And I'll be covering that. And then Sunday I'm going to try and do a spoiler alert where basically we get to talk about anything that's out right now. No, sneak previews or anything like that, and let the spoilers rip. I mean, movies, TV shows, video games, whatever you want to talk about, That's what we're going to talk about it, and spoilerific on that one. And then, of course, next week, Monday and Tuesday, I'll be off. Wednesday will be another episode of Ahsoka. And we'll roll back around again to that, episode 6, and we'll see what happens there. Oh, and by the way, I also want to say Chopper in this one. Chopper, who is my favorite droid. I've actually got the Black Series. Chopper is coming November, the beginning of November. I have it on order. So that was one of the droids I really fucking wanted. I'm actually going to Disneyland too, for work, believe it or not, in a couple of weeks, and I may pick up. I may end up picking up one of the motorized choppers as well, because Chopper is my favorite droid. I don't really get into the droid stuff for the most part in Star Wars, but Chopper, he's my favorite little war criminal. He really is. I mean, that fucker has killed. I want to say at least he's killed at least 1,000. I mean, his kill count has to be in the 4 digits at this point. So, yeah, I mean, he brought down a Star Destroyer, for God's sake. Take a look at him. Like I said, Chopper, and you can understand what he's talking about too when he's saying stuff. It takes a little while to kind of get used to it, but you end up understanding what he's talking about. That's the only droid that you can actually understand what the fuck he's saying. And I mean, there's been a couple times he swore. If you watch Star Wars Rebels, he's like, "What the fuck?" He actually says it. And I'm just like, "Wow, they actually got away with that." Okay, great. So with that said, I want to thank everyone who joined me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library, and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, remember, it's over 1,000 videos now, so something's going to pop up there you might like. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all links to my pages. I still need to put my Blue Sky address up there. I haven't gotten into Blue Sky as of yet. Work kicks my ass quite a bit lately, and it's showing no signs of stopping. So I'll try and get to it when I can. My day job, the one that actually pays my bills and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. But thank you, everyone. I will see you again on Saturday. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may wind up, lost in the world between worlds. You have to go through the Jedi trials. You get a snarky Anakin Skywalker who suddenly turns mean and becomes Darth Vader. He tries taking your ass down, but it's just a trick. No, not really a trick. He's trying to teach you a lesson. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again on Saturday. Have a good rest of your night. Stay safe. Be well. Take care. And maybe start wearing those masks again, because shit's starting to, happen again. Thanks, everyone. I will see you again Saturday. Have a good rest of your night. Have a good one, everyone. Good night.